When I think back to that season of my life, it almost feels like a movie I once watched instead of something I actually lived through. The way things unfolded, so unexpectedly, so emotionally charged, still leaves me with goosebumps whenever I replay it in my mind. My name is Linda Parker. I'm a mother of two, and what I'm about to share is a deeply personal story that began with something as simple as back pain. What it uncovered, though, changed the way I saw my family forever. I was 47 at the time, working long hours as a school administrator in a small town in Ohio. Sitting at a desk for so many years had left me with constant stiffness in my lower back. It was nothing unusual for me to feel an ache here or there, but during that year, the pain had started to worsen. I brushed it off at first, like mothers often do, too busy focusing on my children, my job, my household, and everything else that needed my attention. My son, Jason, was 22 then, recently graduated from college, and living back at home while he applied for jobs. He'd always been the kind of son any mother would be proud of, kind, thoughtful, and attentive in ways I sometimes felt I didn't deserve. My daughter, Emily, was away at college, so it was just Jason and me in the house most days. One Saturday afternoon, as I leaned over to pick up laundry from the living room floor, I felt a sharp pain shoot down my back. I dropped the clothes and clutched my side, grimacing. Jason rushed in from the kitchen, concern written all over his face. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked, helping me ease onto the couch. I tried to wave him off, embarrassed that something so small had me nearly doubled over. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just my back acting up again. I'll manage." Jason frowned. "You always say that, but it looks worse this time. Have you gone to see a doctor?" I sighed. "Not yet. I keep meaning to, but you know how it is: work, bills, life. I'll get around to it." He shook his head and sat beside me. "You shouldn't let it get that bad. I learned a few stretches in college from my roommate who studied physical therapy. Maybe I can help." I laughed softly. "You're going to fix your old mom with some stretches?" "Hey," he said with a grin. "Don't underestimate me." So that evening, Jason guided me through some simple movements, gentle stretches, easy breathing techniques, ways to release the tension in my lower back. To my surprise, it actually helped. I felt lighter, more relaxed, as though some of the weight I had been carrying for years wasn't just in my body, but in my spirit too. What struck me most wasn't just the relief, but the care Jason showed. He didn't rush. He didn't treat it as a chore. He paid attention, asking how each stretch felt, adjusting so I wouldn't strain myself. I realized in that moment that my little boy had grown into a man who truly saw me, not just as his mom, but as a person. Over the next few weeks, Jason and I fell into a new routine. In the evenings after dinner, he'd guide me through stretches and light exercises. Sometimes we'd talk about his job applications or the books he was reading. Other times we'd just laugh about silly memories, like the time Emily tried to bake cookies and nearly set the oven on fire. But one evening, as we were finishing up, Jason suddenly grew quiet. He sat down across from me, his expression serious. "Mom, can I tell you something?" "Of course, honey. You can tell me anything." He hesitated, fiddling with his hands. "When I moved back home, I thought it would just be temporary. But the truth is, I've been struggling more than I let on. Not just with jobs, but with myself." I tilted my head, my heart tightening. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath. "All through college, I felt like I was living a life that didn't really fit me. I studied business because I thought that's what you and Dad wanted, but my heart's not in it. I've been scared to admit that because I didn't want to disappoint you." His words stunned me. Here I was, worried about my back pain, and my son was carrying around this much deeper weight in silence. "Jason," I whispered, reaching across to hold his hand. "You could never disappoint me by being true to yourself. Never." He swallowed hard, his eyes glassy. "There's more. I've been battling with anxiety since high school. I never wanted to say anything because I thought it would make me look weak. But when I see you in pain and how you never complain, I realized I've been doing the same thing, just with my mind." Tears welled in my eyes. All this time, my son had been suffering silently, hiding his struggles so I wouldn't worry. My back pain, the very thing that made me feel weak, had somehow opened a door for him to share his hidden truth. That night, we talked for hours. Jason shared how he often felt like he was drowning in expectations, how he worried about the future, how he wanted to pursue something creative instead of a corporate job. I listened, really listened, in a way I realized I hadn't done enough of in recent years. The next morning, I made an appointment with a doctor for my back, and I also encouraged Jason to speak with a counselor about his anxiety. We made a pact. We would take care of ourselves together. I would stop brushing off my pain, and he would stop hiding his. As the weeks went by, our household shifted. Jason started exploring graphic design, something he'd always been passionate about as a kid. I began physical therapy and found real improvement in my back. But more than the physical healing, it was the emotional closeness between us that changed everything. One evening, Emily called from college, and Jason and I ended up telling her the whole story, how my back pain led to a conversation that uncovered Jason's hidden struggles. She cried, saying she had felt guilty for being away while so much was happening at home. But instead of guilt, what we all felt was gratitude. Gratitude that the truth had come out, gratitude that we could support each other more openly. Looking back now, I realize that pain, whether physical or emotional, has a strange way of forcing us to pay attention. My back pain, which I once saw as a nuisance, became the very thing that led my son to share his truth. It brought us closer as a family in a way I could never have imagined. Today, Jason is thriving as a freelance designer, doing work that lights him up inside. Emily has grown into a compassionate young woman, always checking in on her brother and me. And as for me, I'm learning, even in my late 40s, that being strong doesn't mean hiding your pain. It means sharing it, facing it, and allowing others to help carry it with you. Because sometimes, what begins as an ache in the body uncovers truths in the heart, and those truths can change everything.